European football is next on the agenda as the remainder of the first leg matches in the UEFA Champions League knockout playoff ended a short while ago. Among today's fixtures, the Vincent Kompany-led six-time champions Bayern Munich making the trip to Glasgow to face Brendan Rodgers and the Scottish giants Celtic. And we have the highlights.
Taken on by Lima. Now it's Elise. And Elise is going to try that trick, going away and then shooting. Now it's Lima. Kasper Schmeichel, arms stretched out wide. Elise with a chance to shoot. Oh, what a rocket! That is quite beautiful from Michael Elise. Didn't have long to think about it. Didn't have long to look at it and set his sights. It's a cracker.
Yeah, ferocious strike. Brilliant switch from Upamecano to leave him one-on-one with the fullback Greg Taylor. And again there, you know that he's stepping inside Elise onto the left foot. What you can never quite understand is, or accept perhaps, is how well he has hit that. I mean, that is a sensational strike, that really is. He looks good there to me. He looks like he's onside. And at this moment now, once he chops back there, somebody else has to be there. It's Aaron Trusty who's got to get out to him a little quicker. He's a little unlucky, Greg Taylor, with the way that ricochets. Now someone's got to be closer, and he's not there. And that left foot is a wand, and he's hit that.
Gap for Elise to get into. Now Kane lifting it back for Michael Elise. Turns, shoots, saved by Schmeichel. That was all too simple for Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
And it's back with Michael Elise. The flag stayed down. Zane. Kane, saved by Schmeichel. Missed by Lima. Now Kimmich. Kimmich shot into the crowd. It hit Musiala. Hatate clears, and now the offside flag goes up.
Yeah.
And there's Kane. And he's missed the chance. By his standards, it's a big one.
And he gets done by the flight of the ball. I never understand that. You've got to have some idea when that ball is being delivered. Good clearance there from Johnston, vitally important.
Zane didn't get a hold of that. Didn't miss by much. Deflection on it. There was.
But right from the get-go of this second period, it's all Bayern again. Yeah.
Guerrero on the move. At the back, it's Kane! 2-0 to Bayern Munich. Harry Kane missed one big chance at the back post in the first half. If he gets two, he's not going to miss both of them.
It's a brilliantly controlled volley. I mean, he watches it all the way, guides it, knows he doesn't have to lace it, just get it on target.
Well, Yang. Maeda takes over. And Ito's first touch for the Bayern first team is to block a cross and concede a corner. And it comes. It was Kimmich who stopped the flick on. That was Yang, and there's Maeda's touch. Celtic are back in this. Well, there's another touch onto him,
There was another touch before it, there was. It's Yang. He gets a little touch. Might stand, you know.
Oh, then that's okay.
I think it might be okay.
It's going to be a throw-in. No, it's not. There's no time for it. Jesus Hill Manzano signals the end of the first leg of the contest. But it is a contest ahead of the second leg in Munich.
So, like Real Madrid did yesterday, going to the UK and picking up an advantage on the aggregate, Bayern Munich does the same thing, going to Glasgow and getting two extremely fine goals from Elise and Harry Kane to get a 2-1 victory. Our football analyst Juan Giarango joins us to discuss the action. Juan, your thoughts on the match? Two fine goals there for Bayern Munich.
Oh, no doubt. The goals are fine. Everything's fine. It was just towards the end that Bayern had to suffer and suffer. There were a couple of instances there where Manuel Neuer made a couple of mistakes, where if Celtic would have been it would be cruel to say on point because they were on point, but if they would have been at the right place at the right time, if you would have had the right player, if things would have if the stars would have aligned properly for them, if you want to put it from that perspective, Lance, maybe it would have been 2-2, maybe even 3-2 at a certain point, because Celtic towards the end really started to push, really started to keep Bayern inside their own 18. At certain points, you saw Harry Kane dropping back and basically defending, basically with tooth and nail, and seeing what they could do to be able to come away with that victory. So at the end of the day, it ends up being a big win for Bayern. In any way and by any means necessary, a win has to come for Bayern, knowing that the return leg at the Allianz is going to be much more important, but also much more relaxed, and knowing that they can be able to come away with a very positive result, especially with the win behind their back.
Yeah, most of the reviews I saw in the match suggested Joshua Kimmich being player of the match. Juan, how influential was he in the game today?
In terms of the movement, in terms of what he was capable of doing in the midfield, as he usually does. Not only that, there was a moment where he fell in the area and you thought that he injured himself, but he was also joining in the attack a lot more frequently. So you have to say that he was a very fundamental part of this Bayern side, and he's always been that. And more often than not, he ends up being a player where if you end up having him on a very good day, he can end up making a difference. And today he did exactly that, because a lot of times he was able to really help control the flow of play, especially when Bayern were going forward, when Bayern were more attacking and more industrious in that facet of play.
Yeah, and a quick one on Celtic. How impressed were you with them? There were many times in this match I saw a lot of fight, and I'm thinking about, their previous Champions League encounters, and how, before you wouldn't have seen a fight like this. I felt as if I was really impressed with that. And I mean, the one goal that they were able to ease into the match speaks volumes.
You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's what made this match that much more interesting. It gave it a bit more drama. It gave it a bit more intrigue towards the end. It was that combative nature that Brendan Rodgers' side ends up having throughout the latter stages, especially. The goal that ends up, initially I thought it was offside, but then of course when you see the replay, he was able to be back on. And like I said before, there were a couple of instances after that Manuel Neuer comes out. There were a couple of mistakes by the defense. You still see that frailty in Bayern as well. But Celtic are a very combative side, and that's something that they have to really tip their hat to in terms of that. And if Bayern aren't playing somewhat well to very well in the return leg, do not be surprised if they end up getting a major scare, or Celtic can end up pulling a major upset if they come in with that mindset.
Yeah, Harry Kane and Bayern Munich. What did you make of his performance today, his leadership on the pitch, and of course ensuring that he got that final goal to seal the win for his team?
He got the final goal, but he got it after missing basically a sitter. So you have to give him credit in that, because number nines, I mean, we all know the story with number nines. We know how things end up evolving in terms of them. If they end up going into a dry spell, nothing goes in. But they keep on, and Harry Kane has done that throughout his career. Even though he's had those dry spells, he keeps on striking. He keeps on trying to find opportunities. He missed, you see right there, basically it was a sitter. But then later on in the match, he comes in and is able to come through with a huge goal for Bayern. Maybe, just maybe, the one that ends up putting him into the next phase.
Yeah, what a moment to redeem himself, because one of the things is, for sure, sport is very unforgiving, and if he didn't redeem himself and the results were otherwise, we would not have been hearing the end of it, and our discussion would have been very different. Now, the other matchup, Club Brugge and Atalanta. Club Brugge getting the better of Atalanta. Your analysis of how that one went?
Everyone's talking about the penalty in the 94th minute, and was it not? I'm not going to get into that. I'll let you. You're the one that gets paid the big bucks for the controversy, so I'm not even going to go there.
Was it?
Yeah. No, I don't think it was. But that's again. Like I said, the controversy there, and right now I was reading Gazzetta dello Sport. I'm reading all these other Italian publications. They're fuming right now in terms of what happened, but they're still in it. That's the thing. Yeah, okay, fine. A draw would have helped out, but going back to being able to go back home and be able to rectify this ends up being important for a team that's been able to do so well in this competition and in Serie A as Atalanta have been able to do.
Yeah, a couple of the other results on the day, Feyenoord and Benfica winning their fixtures as well. Narrow margins, 1-0, one an away win and one a home win. Your thoughts on how those two went?
Feyenoord with a huge, I mean, Ivan Paixão scoring early on. If you see that, and you see some of the numbers, you think, well, Feyenoord just hung on to the crossbar. No, well, that had a little bit to do with it. But you also have to start looking at the fact that Milan really didn't do too much in front of goal. You start looking at the amount of opportunities they created, not very many. And we can also add that Feyenoord could have had another chance to score a second if it didn't hit out the woodwork. So again, Milan have their work cut out for them in the return leg. That's going to be a really interesting situation to see what this side's capable of doing. Especially you see a Milan side that comes in after having won the Italian Super Cup. They were sky high. They seemed like everything was going to go well, and they've been kind of mired in mediocrity so far in terms of Serie A and so what they've been able to do. Also, injuries have had a lot to do with that as well.
Yeah, so yesterday, Juan, we did see a couple of teams who didn't want to be involved in this part of the playoffs, would have expected to be in the top 8 themselves, City and Real Madrid. We reviewed the game yesterday with Brent. Your thoughts on Real Madrid's second half flurry that got them ahead of Man City?
Can you put earmuffs on Mariah for a second?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Pedigree.
Go ahead now.
It's pedigree.
Pedigree.
Pedigree. Real Madrid has pedigree that Manchester City will never have.
Will never have.
Never have.
Oh, wow. Really?
Never have. Never. Ever. 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 And look, Real Madrid didn't play their best game. But Real Madrid in Champions League, if they play well, they'll beat you. If they play poorly, they'll beat you. If they play somewhat, they'll beat you. If they play badly, they'll beat you. That's the thing that this Real Madrid, they didn't play great. I'll be completely honest with you. City were winning in the 80th minute. Teams with pedigree close matches out.
You're talking about in Champions League, though. You're not talking about in La Liga. I'm
talking about Champions League right now. I mean, that's the only comparable thing I can do with City and with Real Madrid. In Champions League, it's a team like City has to close these matches out. Pep Guardiola even said it after his press conference, saying, I wasn't good enough. The team wasn't good enough at the end of the day. And they needed to not only consolidate that lead, but also prevent Real Madrid from equalizing just 2 minutes later. And not only that, the way that they were pressuring, a loose ball comes in, it ends up going right to Vinicius Jr., and you have a player with pedigree, and it's, to me, amazing what Jude Bellingham has been able to do ever since he's arrived. You see the amount of game-winning goals that he's scored or he's been a part of throughout. It shows you that he is a Real Madrid player through and through. But yesterday's game was all about pedigree. Something, like I said, Real Madrid has had for ages, and Manchester City will never have.
Wow. Okay, strong words there, Juan. But as an analyst, we do expect you to go out on a limb.
I mean, especially this year's City. And I don't mean to be. I'm not saying it in a mean way. It's just that this year's City is not even remotely close to the City of a decade ago.
Of 3 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he means a decade ago, Lance, when they weren't that good.
Well, when they
were just coming through as a unit. That's the comparison he's trying to make. He's not even trying to compare them to 2 or 3 or 4 seasons ago, because those were good City teams.
Yes.
And he is saying that this one is nowhere close.
All right, and it's all mental too, guys. It's not. I'm not saying that they have bad players. I mean, okay, he's injured, but you have the reigning Ballon d'Or winner on this side. You have one of the best midfielders. But collectively this season, it's been a lack of confidence because of everything that's compounded throughout the Premier League season and now in Champions League.
Yeah, one quick question before we go. Does Manchester United have pedigree?
Seriously?
Well, I'm sorry, you're talking in past tense?
I'm asking you.
What?
Does Manchester United have pedigree?
Did Donald ask you to ask that question?
No, apparently Ricardo is a Manchester United supporter.
Just understand. I'm trying to help you here, Mariah. Work with me. Because unless I'm misunderstanding what you're saying in terms of City have never had pedigree and they will never have pedigree. Real Madrid have pedigree and they've had it for ages. So you are talking about Real Madrid as a current unit. That's what you're talking about, and not just their historical pedigree.
Everything.
So
Real Madrid have more Champions League than all of England.
We got you. We got you on.
All right,
Juan. Manchester City will never have pedigree. We've got you.
Juan, well, that's all the time we have for you for today. Thank you so much. We're going to take a quick break, and we're coming right back.